Good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for staying still, with us. So this is the third day, and after the launch, it's not easy to bring everybody back. But I promise you that this session will be very interesting, and it's going to be very entertaining. And we have a panel of very interesting people that will share the experience on the topic of the session, which is going to be the mission adaptation, the EU mission adaptation on climate change. Now, how many of you have never heard about the mission adaptation? Yeah, all right. Okay, few of you, right? So you are in a perfect place. You can learn about what has been done and how it's useful for you, and what is it about. I will give you only, a couple of minute introduction to the mission adaptation and explain why we have been insisting on working with mission adaptation within this project. So my name is Jaro Misiak, and I'm with Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change, as some more colleagues from CMCC among you. And the mission adaptation is a part of Horizon Europe. It has been designed specifically for accelerating the adaptation, making the adaptation more transformational, whatever that means. And the key two characteristics of the mission, according to my interpretation, is the first one is it is encouraging the local and regional authorities, agencies, and local action groups and whatever, so local policy-oriented groups to work side by side with the scientists and innovators, right, on the equal footing. So this is brilliant. We didn't have that before, and we don't have it in the other Horizon Europe clusters. So this is basically, it's the mission for you, the mission to help the regions and communities to develop to understand the climate risk and develop climate adaptation, right? So to accelerate the transformation. This is the first one. And the second characteristic, which is quite unique under the Horizon Europe, is that it's a cluster of projects, not a single project, but there are more than 60 projects now being funded in order to inspire one another and help the regions and the communities to advance on this very interesting goal, right? So this is why it's so important, right? We are in the middle, right, of the implementation of the mission, a little bit, after the midpoint, which is good. There is we will still have time until 2030, right, to finish the work on the mission and on the different research innovation projects and deliver on those goals. The goals of the missions are three, basically. First of all, to provide everybody with a better understanding of climate risk. The second one is to help the region to understand the adaptation pathways, right, and inspire them, accelerate the planning. And the third one is to demonstrate what can be done at the regional and local level in order to create and build up the resilience. So for this session, you might ask yourself, how it's connected to the climate services, why we are so insisting in Climateurope2 on creating the link to climate services. And this is for a single reason, right? Equipping the regions and the communities with climate information is not enough, right? The regions and communities really need to have the ownership and create an ecosystem of innovation around the understanding of climate risk. So they are kindly invited to do that, to think about how to create a environment that is conducive and inspirational for climate services to be developed and climate services to deliver the specific knowledge that many of your local partners and stakeholders need in order to adapt and in order to be better prepared, how we call it now, better prepared to deal with climate risk. So this is why we have been always creating a connection between Climateurope2 and the mission adaptation. And for today's session, we have created a nice panel. I will introduce the panelists and invite them to join me here, right? So you will see all the panelists, and they will have a little bit time to introduce their topic, and then we will engage in a discussion in which all of you are kindly invited to take part. So I'm very happy to introduce Dana Stuparu from Deltares, who is an advisor on climate adaptation with enormous experience on climate adaptation. We have been working with Dana for a long time, right? Looking at the transnational and remote risk and risk project. And then now Dana is part of the coordination team of the CLIMAAX project she will be talking about. And the CLIMAAX project is one of those mission adaptation projects that is creating incentives for you, but also equipping you with tools and instruments to develop your climate risk knowledge. Then the second panelist is my dear friend, Paola Mercogliano from my institution, Paola. And Paola is one of the leaders of my organization. This is the principal scientist, right? She used to be she is still, but the division director. She leads a part of the CMCC focused on regional climate modeling. But she's also one of the minds of the CMCC that brings in the transdisciplinary and strategic vision, how to design the research. So thank you, Paola, for being here. And then we have two representatives of the regions, right, or regional organizations that are helping to implement that. I'm happy to invite Teodora Subotic, who is the advisor at the Provincial Secretariat for Urban Planning and Environmental Protection in Novi Sad. How many of you know where is Novi Sad? Okay. How many don't know? Okay. You can ask Teodora afterwards. It's not far from here. It's a beautiful place. And Teodora will be sharing her insight about what they are doing. She's also representing one of the regions that received the financial support to develop the climate risk assessment within their constituency. So this is going to be very nice. And last but not least, Milenko Sedlar. Milenko, join me, please. He leads the climate and resilience sector at REGEA. REGEA is the regional organization in Croatia. And he is a climate policy and resilience expert with enormous experience. And we work together with Milenko on several initiatives, like one of these mission adaptation demonstrator project, which is called Arcadia. But Milenko is also leading the mission adaptation effort on creating national adaptation hubs. So we will be hearing from him also about this. I would like to invite another dear colleague of mine, Haze Gosen, whom you have already seen in another session. And Haze is the Director of Climate Adaptation Services. And I thought your experience in what you're doing in a number of environments is absolutely complementing what we are going to discuss here. So welcome, please. Welcome also, Haze. Right. So we have excellent and gender balanced panel, including me, right? And we have a very important topic to discuss. So without any further ado, I would invite Dana to give us a little bit flavor about the CLIMAAX and what it has developed.
Thank you. Thank you, Yarrow. Oh, yes, sorry. Good afternoon. I'm a bit smaller. Nice. I'm Dana Stuparu. I'm an advisor working on climate adaptation at Deltares in the Netherlands. I am very glad to meet you here in Belgrade and have this opportunity of telling you a bit more about the CLIMAAX project. Yesterday I was reading a bit about Belgrade, and I heard that it is one of the top 5 most creative cities in the world. So I hope that this festival here in Belgrade is also going to sparkle some interesting ideas for climate services. So yeah, very happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation. A bit more about the CLIMAAX project. CLIMAAX is a project that is funded by the EU Mission on Adaptation. This is also why it's presented here. And it is quite an interesting project with an interesting construction. The project tries to help regional and local authorities to better understand the climate risks they are currently facing, but that they can also be facing in the future. We have built a methodological framework and an associated toolbox for climate risk assessments, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about that. What is really very good is that we have now 69 regions in Europe and associated countries that are receiving financial funding and practical support for them to implement and climate risk assessments and learn more about the risks that they are and might be facing. We are a bit midway through the project. We have one year and a half more to go. And we started in January 2023, and we're going to find end in February 2027. Just a few words about the project consortium. You are a diverse team ranging from international research institutes, but also regional representatives, including civil protection, partners that are helping us with cascading funding. So a large team of people and the institutes are sitting behind this work. And of course, the regions. The climate risk assessment framework, what is this? It is not so complicated. It is a step-by-step approach that is guiding the regions on how to perform a climate risk assessment analysis. And you need to think that for the regions, it is not very easy to do a climate risk assessment, and that is, of course, a big challenge. So because there are many regions, they have many diverse backgrounds, local contexts, different levels of experience with climate risk assessments, and of course, also the climate risks that they are facing are quite different. So when the project team had to think of a framework that is flexible, so that it is helpful for the different types of regions, but also standardized, because standardization is needed to have a good quality of the studies, but also to have some level of comparability between the different works. The regions usually start with an analysis of their local context, of their institutional setting, and they start from their own experience with climate risk assessment. Then they have a risk exploration and risk analysis step where they gradually look into what type of data are available, what type of models, how they can construct climate scenarios, and then to really understand what type of climate risks the region are facing. And then in the end, we invite the regions to think about what this information means to them in terms of severity, urgency, their capacity to deal with the risk, and try to really connect the climate risk assessments to actions they can take for climate risk management. And we have 69 regions that are doing that, so that's quite interesting to watch and learn from. All this information is available online. It's on the handbook. You can reach it at handbook.climaax.eu. It's all open source, so available also for other regions. It is really tested and trustworthy and verified. And the handbook contains a step-by-step description of the framework, but also the risk workflows, that is really the codes for risk assessments for several different hazards. And yeah, this handbook is, of course, an evolving product. So we are constantly updating it based on the input from the regions, and we are improving it and giving it a nicer and nicer shape, hopefully. The risk assessment workflows. So we have workflows for river floods, coastal floods, and extreme precipitation, urban heat waves, relative and agricultural drought, wildfires, snowfall, and windstorms. So all these codes are available. They have step-by-step instructions on how to use them, and they also have an example that regions can run from beginning to the end so that they can see what they can expect in terms of the results, how they can use it. They are developed in Python, and this choice, the snake, this choice was made because most of the data providers are using Python to distribute data sets, so then we can connect more to Copernicus and other data store providers. And they can be adapted easily to, not easily, but they can be adapted to local contexts, and that is now happening with the regions. I like to read this challenge because it was really important, and we really worked on that for the project. So we try to create workflows that are simple enough to be accessible for all users, but complicated enough to be beneficial and allow for deeper analysis. And this is something that we really see in the 69 regions, that they have a different level of expertise. So this flexibility and standardization are really important for us. We are regularly updating the workflows. We are also adding new workflows based on the requests from the regions. And we have intensive support via service texts, webinars, and introductory videos. Unfortunately, we don't see each other in person that much, but we are there behind the screens, and we try to interact with the regions as much as possible. The project hosted 2 open calls where regions applied to obtain funding for the work. We have received 382 applicants, and after a careful review procedure, we have selected 69 regions, and they are now all starting their activities. And to give you an order of magnitude, about 2/3 of the project budget, that is in the order of 12 million euro, is directed for the regions to do climate risk assessment. So a really large investment from the Mission on Adaptation, trying to bring the world of climate services closer to communities and underground. The regions are doing the work in 3 phases. There is a first phase where they are using the global data sets, the available codes, and trying to understand what type of outputs they can expect from the climate risk assessment. Then they have a second phase where they are using local data sets, and they are refining their analysis to really fit their purposes. And it's really useful to see because, for example, for heat waves, they are using other providers, other types of data, other types of indicators. So it is a kind of an explosion of perspectives on the codes and on the use of the data sets. And then in the third phase, they are going to think about how they connect the results to possible measures, climate risk assessments, what they have learned from the study, how they can do a next iteration, and and continue the work because it's not going to be finished in 2 years. First lesson learned, we highly appreciate the feedback from the regions, and they are really helping us to improve the CLIMAAX services towards an European standard, because it is really a unique opportunity to have so many regions using the same methodology at the same time. and we are really trying to bridge the scientific world and the world of real-time real underground applications. It's not very easy, but we have tried to, for example, adapt the wording of the framework to make it more accessible and give more explanations on the workflows. And in the current period, accessibility is really one of our key points of attention. My last 2 slides, I see Yaro looking at me.
30 seconds.
Yes, are about the community of practice. It is a tool for us that we are trying to stimulate exchange and learning between the regions. And we have had now already several meetings. They are all recorded and available on the CLIMAAX website. We are preparing the autumn program. We are going to focus on specific hazards and adaptation options. So yeah, you are more than welcome to connect. The tools are available for usage also for regions that are not in the CLIMAAX project. And yeah, we are looking forward to see how the project will evolve in the future. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dana. So that was a really short introduction. We will have time to look into that more in detail and discuss, but just a couple of observations. You are the community of practice, and you are very welcome to join this one, right? I'll said to expand your understanding. And the second point you might have seen for the colleagues from, what we are discussing is standardization of climate services. So the regional framework for climate risk assessment is a sort of standard, right? Pre-standard, and with that insight that will be fed into formal standards that are regulating the local and regional climate risk assessment. Brilliant, thank you very much. And then before we start asking questions, I would like to ask you to be a little bit patient. I would like to invite also Paula to give her initial statement. And Paula is going to speak about more the soft part of engaging communities and regions and what we have learned from that.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure this afternoon to introduce you the Adaptation Agora project. This is a project in the mission led by CMCC. Okay, first of all, in my background, I produce data. I work with the climate models, but as Yaro mentioned before, sometimes data is not enough. And then working with the communities for adaptation, the idea of the Adaptation Agora is to be able to engage citizens in the adaptation process in order to reinforce the climate action. Because we really think that if we are able to involve a broad audience, we will be also able to reinforce the climate action. And then we can be more ambitious and to really push the transformation. But in order to do this, we need to do this in a professional way. For this reason, in the Adaptation Agora, we work together with the social scientists, communication experts, and expert, of course, of climate at local level and impact and risk. And we tried to develop tools that, working all together, we hope to have developed something that could be really useful for climate action. Okay, in the nutshell, okay, Agora has been started in 2023, and with the idea to promote the social transformation process in different content, and as I mentioned before, using this transdisciplinary tool and approach. And we want really accelerate the local adaptation process in order to build a Europe that is resilient to climate change in the next years, not decades. How we have do this? Okay, first of all, pilot action. We had four very ambitious pilot areas. One was the city of Rome. That was the activity in Rome was led by CMCC, but also we had a pilot area in Sweden, in Spain, and in Germany. But 4 pilots for project is not enough to reinforce and push the adaptation action. And then we also had the idea to have these followers. Followers are community in which we try to apply what we have find useful in the pilot activities. Followers, as you can see in the map, come from different regions of Europe, but also I want to mention that we had a lot of interest also out of Europe, in the South America, in Asia. We are now publishing a paper with a Chinese student about the impact of these tools that we have developed. But we do these followers. Unfortunately, we were not able to have many in pilot activity, in person activity, sorry, but we manage a lot of, I don't know, digital webinar, meeting and so on. But at the end, we also developed these digital tools that now I'm going to describe in details, that are academia, app, and forum, and so on. Okay, I want to mention the participatory activity that we developed in the 4 pilot area. It was a long process. For example, in Rome, but also this has been done in every pilot area. We started from this inception workshop. In this inception workshop, we were able to have different 8 target audience. I don't know, journalists, academia, private sector, and many others, 8 in total. And with this decision maker, we started to think about adaptation, identify the barrier, the vulnerability in the community. After this inception workshop, we organized meeting with the focus group with the 7 people. And in Rome, for example, we had a meeting with workers, with the young people, with the multi-ethnic community, including also other vulnerable group. And then with them, we start to understand the needs of the local adaptation and how the tools that we have developed, the tools available, can be useful for them, or the gap that they think that there are. After understanding their perspective, we had this final co-creation workshop with the 8 target audience participating to the inception workshop, but also including more. And then, thanks to this, we were able to integrate what we have found, the main output, in the new adaptation plans and strategy. A positive experience. Okay, these are, for example, the protocol for engagement that we have developed. Every time that you work with a specific part of community, you have to use a different engagement protocols. We think that what can be also useful, and we are also using this protocol now in new European project, can be used in many other contexts. The protocols are available on Zenodo. I want to mention the positive experience in Rome. For example, in Rome, the Adaptation Agora project and our activity performed in the participatory process are mentioned in the strategy. And I was mentioned that the local, the decision maker, the measure, and all the community working on the adaptation, they were very happy to have our support. And I think that we were able to push their action. And we, of course, we are really happy to have this feedback, positive feedback. If you are interested, one of our output, for example, is the Agora Community Hub. This is a forum where we hope community, as I don't know, the city of Rome, can share the best practices, what is working well in terms of adaptation, and but also what is not working well. I mean, this is a space for to speak each other and to share also challenges and needs, but also, I don't know, to participate to new post-founding opportunity together. We have the academia. The academia for us is a really I mean, a good point of Adaptation Agora project, because we decided to have two academies, sorry. One is related to us, what we do, for example, at CMCC in terms of data, where you can find the right data, how you have to manage this climate data for adaptation action. There is a lot of problem related to the correct use of data. And another academia was about the disinformation. Disinformation is really a big problem. And thanks to the collaboration with the expert in the field of the disinformation, we built this academy. There are inventories, there are video, there are questionnaire. I mean, if you want, I will be very, very happy if you go on our academia. And then there is the Agora quiz about disinformation. And there are more than 500 carefully reviewed questions covering the topic of the climate change. And we think that in the future, young people will use this app. And then there is the Voices of Climate Adaptation. This is a citizen engagement journey in the local adaptation pathway across Europe. And we hope to show this activity in the middle of October. We are very happy. We built about 60 different video collecting all the voices of the adaptation thanks to this activity that we have performed in the Adaptation Agora. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paola. That was really insightful. Now you start seeing the picture, right? Let's say we had the focus on the technical engagement, empowering the local and regional authorities, and also the social engagement and the capability development part, which are nicely complementing one another. Now, I would start the discussion. I would ask you guys the first questions. But in the meantime, if you have, we can take 3 questions before we move to the rest of the panel, right? So if you have a question, then now is the moment to ask. So my first question is, we have seen that the mission adaptation has introduced this portfolio approach, which is nice, but it didn't work in the first part, right? Every project started on its own and developed the tools, and there was very little, right, to fall back on from the other projects. Now, what is your opinion about the next implementation phase? How we can bring that together? How we can make this portfolio approach work, and how we can really pass the knowledge across the project the boundaries and advance the local action plans better together. So I don't know whether you have the microphone. Well, Dana, would you like to start first?
Sì.
Yes. Well, I am a big fan of the way CLIMAAX is constructed. I think it's a really great initiative that the mission of adaptation is bringing knowledge to the regions, and especially regions in countries in which climate is not the most important topic. So this is really a big chance in that sense for regions to access knowledge and build expertise on climate adaptation, because we all see that climate impacts are getting more and more important. The mission of adaptation has the MIP for Adapt setup for connecting different projects, and you mentioned that it has functioned to some extent. I think it would be really helpful if more success stories or more examples are being provided, because that is inspiring and gets people thinking. And maybe also, we just had together with Theodora, we had a 1-hour lunch meeting. So I think facilitating in-person interactions, it's also very important and can really help knowledge dissemination.
Thank you, Dana. And Paola, what is your take on this? How we can make this cross-fertilization better and deliver on those objectives?
From this point of view, I want to say that in Agora, we were really, we was really, I mean, we had a lot of opportunity to make synergies with the other project. For example, we have a twin project, CLIMAAX, working especially on the Eastern Europe, and we went together. We organized a lot of synergic workshop with them. And also I want to say that thanks to the platform, we organized many other activities with Maya and other projects that now are ongoing. From our personal point of view, what we are trying to do in the new project of the mission is to use what we have done in Agora in other projects in order to go beyond what we have done in Adaptation Agora, and because we really think that is useful, but we need to continue the work. And then I think that for us, what is working is to continue the development of the tools also after the end of the Adaptation Agora.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I would like to take 2 or 3 comments or questions from the audience. So we have 1, 2, and 3, right? And then the rest of you keep your question and we will get back to them later on.
Yeah, how to do that? Okay. Thanks a lot for the nice presentations. I have a question to Dana. My name is Niels Hempelman. I'm coming from ECMWF, supporting the Copernicus Climate Change Service, as an kind of in the perspective of a data provider. You showed a very nice list on different topics, on that urban heat, agriculture droughts, etc. And sometimes it's quite difficult to have the right data. So when you're identifying user requirements or needs that probably Copernicus or a data provider should provide, which is not there, what do you do?
We take 3 questions. You have time to think about how to answer. So we have the question over there.
Thank you for your presentation. My name is Slađana Savić-Ivanović. I'm coming from University of Belgrade. But I have a question for Paula regarding, you said you had different protocols for speaking with different audiences. And if I understood well, you have interest in speaking with younger audiences. Do you see any barriers that are existing right now, or how you're trying to overcome them? Because there are, if I know well, they are mostly on social media, and a lot of misinformation is there. So do you have any special ways to overcome that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, so my name is Adeola. I work for LGI Sustainable Innovation. I'm also involved in a project called Pathway to Resilience, which is a bit similar to CLIMAAX in the format, because it's about creating some regional resilience journey for regions. And I was curious to know if in CLIMAAX you had already a plan of the long-term sustainability of the results, and how you wanted to replicate the good feedback from the region in CLIMAAX for other regions beyond CLIMAAX.
Fantastic. So we have 3 questions. 2 are more related to Dana and 1 to Paula, but feel free also to extend, your answer from your project Agora. So Dana first. So how to deal with the data gap if the data is not there? ECMWF.
Yes, luckily ECMWF is one of the key partners in CLIMAAX. They are hosting the workflows on GitHub, and we have made an overview of available data sets for different hazards. And of course, we are linking with Copernicus data store and other data providers. The regions are now already started in adapting their codes with local needs. So we are also receiving requests and thinking with the regions on how can we adapt or substitute the global data sets with local data sets. So in that sense, also requirements on missing data are coming up, and we are making an overview of that. And we are considering getting in touch with Copernicus, but also data providers, to inform them about these needs. So that is for us really important, also to stimulate collaboration, but it's also interesting for the data providers themselves. So data gaps are something we consider.
Yeah, thank you. Paula, would you like to elaborate on the second question on how to engage different social groups?
Okay. About young people, two main elements from my point of view. First of all, it's not useful when you have an obligatory course speaking about climate. They don't like this kind of activity, are really not interested in. And then they are more interested, we have this challenge with them. They want to really give their idea, they won't be creative, they won't be involved in co-design solution. They don't like to only to have a frontal lecture. And the second thing I want to say is also that they won't be independent in the sense that they would like to have the source of information and go on this website and study alone. They don't want that you I don't know, yeah, they won't be independent. They appreciate a lot the academia with the information, where they can find the information, but they won't be independent. They won't build their knowledge on climate, I won't say in an independent way, and be free to make questions and then to understand better. But the first assessment, I won't say that they prefer this way.
Thank you. And the question about the legacy is, what are the initial thoughts about preserving legacy?
Yes. Well, first of all, from the project, we are going to try to write a report, and we are analyzing deliverables and lessons learned. So we are trying to condensate the lessons learned from the 69 regions and share that via different means. Also, the Mission on Adaptation is preparing another future CLIMAAX project. So for people here in the room, it's good to follow up on this or spread the word, because hopefully the new project is going to build upon this project, so that will ensure a natural follow-up. But know that there is going to be funding available for new regions to do the same type of work. You also had a point about connection with pathways to resilience. That's a project that is looking into strategy development, how to bring different actions together in a coherent way. It is our sister project, so we are planning in the next months to come together and prepare some type of tools or instructions for the CLIMAAX regions to learn from pathways to resilience and how they can take first steps for strategy development. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dana. Then I would like at this point to invite Theodora. And Theodora is, I said it again, it's representing a territorial entity that is benefiting from the CLIMAAX cascading funds and has implemented interesting work. So Theodora has a few slides, if we can get them on the right. Yeah.
Thank you. I will be short because Dana is here, and I'm really honored to be here and share the stage with her, because we are pioneers in the CLIMAAX program. It's program for us because we have project in between projects in CLIMAAX with the other countries and regions. The Provincial Secretariat, if you don't know, we are the competent authority for environmental protection in entire territory of Vojvodina in the Republic of Serbia. So it's one north part of the Serbia, mostly agriculture. And this is, I will skip everything about CLIMAAX because Dana said it already. But why we choose this program? Because the scope phase defines the objectives, context, and actors involved in the preparation of the project. In recent decades, Serbia has been faced with extreme weather events, especially droughts and high temperatures, which account for more than 70% of the total damage. The biggest consequences are felt by agriculture, and in Vojvodina, it's almost whole agriculture region. One of the key sectors of the economy, because participation in the period April-September is of crucial importance for production. Vojvodina is, as I said, the most important agricultural region of Serbia, and at the same time the most sensitive to climate change due to the flat terrain, intensive tillage and reliance of natural rainfall. This region is practically exposed to agriculture droughts. I will say that drought, both relative and agriculture, poses a mounting threat of Vojvodina, highly productive and agriculture-dependent economy. Climate change has led to increasing the temperature extremes, shifting precipitation patterns, and prolonged by spells which directly undermine crop yields, rural livelihoods, and food security. Why this is matters? Well, we didn't know how much data we had before we do the CLIMAAX project. We think that it was interesting, we are pioneers, everything is so nice, nobody do it. But when we started, and we are in the second phase now, on the half of the second phase, we saw that it helps regions better understand their specific climate risks, not just extreme weather events, but also long-term changes that can affect infrastructure, agriculture, forests, water resources, population health, and more. It enables European coordination and standardization, because without a harmonized approach, it's difficult to compare risk, plan, allocate resources, or learn from each other. It brings financial resources and technical support where it may not be available, especially for regions with less capacity. It can improve early warming systems, emergency response plans, and overall climate change adaptation strategies. I will skip this. Main findings from deliverable 1, because we did deliverable 1 completely, and in the deliverable part 2 we are still ongoing, so I will not talk about the second phase. Agriculture drought, even under a low emission scenario, is projected to cause up 45% crop yield loss for maize and over 36% of wheat in some areas, clearly illustrating its economic and food security implicators. Both relative and agricultural drought risks are intensifying, and the project to escalate through 2080 under multiple climate scenarios. Districts such as North Banat, South Banat, Center Banat, and parts of South Bačka show the highest combined exposure and vulnerability levels. You can see the simulations of the result of our first phase. I will not do all the data, it will be too long, but the usability of the result, expected outcomes of the projects and users. Between these several realized education seminars, dissemination, participants, stakeholders, communication actions, publications, notes, we have to do 7 articles in regional media mentioning the project, because it's very important to people to know that this CLIMAAX program and projects exist, and we need some new CLIMAAX programs and projects to do it in the next year, or when it will be the next founding, because we don't want to be alone in this, and if we are only one that do it, it doesn't matter that much, because we need someone to recognize it and to do something that we didn't do. So this database and data collection comparison of climate data, and employees of local self-governments who deal with tasks related to environmental protection, residents of all ages, genders, and other type of status, students, and the general public interact with stakeholders, will be done with these 7 educational seminars and in 7 administrative districts using communication tools. But I said it's not enough. Please enjoy the CLIMAAX program. And I'm hoping that this will be inspiring in the next years. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, I will answer it with Dana.
Thank you very much, Teodora. So it's interesting also to listen to the local experiences and the challenges faced when using some of the resources of the mission adaptation. Thank you, Teodora, for that. Now, I would like to turn to Milenko. Milenko, you are highly experienced in the mission advancement across different countries, and you are, I already mentioned that, going to coordinate also the national mission adaptation platforms. So what is your experience in mission-oriented research innovation, and how do you think climate services might help to advance the mission, the objective, and the adaptation in more general terms? And what do you plan to do to facilitate that?
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I feel like in school that I don't have a presentation. I forgot my homework anyway. So, but I have 2 things actually to say up front. Is that 2 words actually? It's crazy and it's glue. Crazy is because I used to work in projects like this. I like technical stuff. I have a background in natural sciences, but I now work in governance mostly. So trying to basically connect everybody that needs to be connected to basically make an uptake of what you guys been telling about. And I'm really sorry that I moved into that, because I like this one better. But that's why it's crazy, because someone has to do it, and they, they call me crazy at home. My kids call me crazy because why do you not do what you love? But I think we do it because of impact. What we've seen is that you mentioned, Yaro, very well, that we have experienced in many technical projects so far, through the GAON, national level, on European level. But our learning was always the same. We have all the ingredients in the system, but somehow we do not have the impacts that we should have. What we did first in Croatia, we approached our Ministry of Economy, who was working on the energy and climate plan, because they were actually given kind of a slap from the Commission that they do not do proper dialogues with all the needed stakeholders. And we said to them, okay, guys, we would like to support you, because you need to consult everybody in the system. You need to, and that's something that gave birth to a platform we have now in Croatia that basically gathers 9 ministries, academia, NGO sector, business, finance, basically everybody you can think of that is essential to be working in this system. And what went really well is that we now have something, we are reaching a stage of the famous mainstreaming of climate action into the typical governance processes. And this is something that we are aiming for. And it started to work also on, we are piloting this on the city levels. For example, Zagreb, in the capital of Zagreb, we are piloting this through spatial planning, through budgets, through different governance processes, technical projects. But it's not enough if you just pilot that in one city. We need an uptake, we need an upscale on the national level and in the EU level. And this is, I think, what is the essence of the mission. Mm-hmm. And that is something that should deliver the transformational adaptation. It didn't happen yet, I think, because, as I said at the beginning, we have the ingredients, but we don't have the catalyzers in the system that should connect all this. So this is why we basically, there was a call on the mission Clima0102, and we have basically designed the Adaptation Hubs project. So what we did basically in a very plain words is that what we did in Croatia, we would like to copy paste in each member state of the European Union, so EU27. We know it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy everywhere. It's not going to be the same model everywhere, but there are learnings that can be taken out. So it does look like a very governance-oriented project, and it is dominantly, but it is going to be using all the things that have been said here, through P2R, to CLIMAAX, through Arcadia project, through whatever you mentioned, 60, I don't know how many, 69 projects. And there will be more because there is currently calls closed and everything. So there is a lot of knowledge in the system. We are trying to create a system that will use this knowledge and that will upscale that on national and then on the EU levels, because the mission is supporting, I don't know how many, 300 signatories. And just imagine how many regions are in Europe and how much more work is there to be done. But from my perspective, if we remain on supporting individual regions, which is super great, but if we don't do that and involve national levels and everybody in the system, we will fail sooner or later. So, I mean, we here in this, don't take it personally, but in this part of the world, in this region, we are the, I would say, champions of the world in, putting things in the drawers. So a project ends, shut it down, and that's it. So we would like to avoid that, and we would like to deal with cohesion policy, how to implement and mainstream the adaptation into cohesion policy as well. So it's very important, because we have found out, and it's not really that big of a surprise, that it is mostly about the money, because in our perspective in Croatia, the biggest driver now for the adaptation is the Ministry of Finance. They are, because they have found out that we don't have the money, our finance systems are not resilient enough, and they are now pushing other ministries, they're pushing regions and cities to do that. And that's where the climate services come in, because there is a lot of data needed. There is a lot of research needed to support their actions. And they, honestly, I'm called basically on daily basis from different ministries. We need this, we need this, we need this, that. We are planning, we are doing this spatial plan, we need data. We're trying to include EU taxonomy principles in the budgets. Can you help us? There is so much help they need, and there is that knowledge in the system. So that's the glue. Somebody needs to connect that. So we're gonna need a lot of effort and luck as well to go on with this. But especially also for the region, we are very specific here. Yeah. I think that not the entire region is within the Adaptation Hubs project. It's only Croatia and Slovenia for now. But we already yesterday discussed that this is something that could be also spread to the Western Balkans and the region, because it does make sense. Regardless of the existing of the next project, it's something that could be an initiative of a region as well. So that's about it.
Brilliant. So this is exactly what we need, right? You have anticipated my next question. I mean, this is creating the cross-sectoral linkages, also building the basis for the legacy. Adeola, this is the right inspiring, right? From the inside gain within certain initiatives to inspire more systemic response and cross-fertilizing the knowledge and keeping it, going and updated. And so, thank you so much. And last but not least, you have done so much work on this stuff, right? Working with the regions, you have developed very important products for the Netherlands. You have been advising and piloting similar services also in other initiatives that directly inform or anticipate even the mission. And I also know that you have used this festival in order to forge a new type of partnership and so on. So the true reason for inviting you to join this panel is also to give you the opportunity to share that. So could you elaborate your view on what we could see, or what you have done, what we could see in order to deliver better the objectives?
Yeah, thanks, Jaro, also for inviting me here on the stage as your mystery guest. Yeah, we know each other quite well. We've recently completed the Reach Out project where we tried to bridge the last mile to the cities. So building climate services and tools to really reach the city level. And I think what we learned there is what is really important is communication and visualization and storytelling. So taking the data, tailoring it to the needs of cities and trying to really connect to the local context. I think that's really crucial. And what we see in many projects is that communication and dissemination is the final work package. We give it a little bit of budget that is left over. I think it should be the first work package, that we should really start thinking who are our audiences, who are the users, and which messages do we need to convey to convince them. I think that's really important. Well, what we're discussing here is we are trying to make the connection between the European data landscape, Copernicus, the C3S, we have JRC, Risk Hub. There are lots of efforts from the European level trying to reach that last mile towards the cities. I think it's only going to work if we at the same time work from the bottom up. So learning from each other, and I think the hubs and the national platforms are a crucial level in that respect. So if we work both ways, we're going to meet each other at the national level. And I think cities will turn to the first contact point, which will be the national platform or the regional platform. I don't think many cities will go to the C3S or to Climate Adapt. I think that step is too big. So I hope that through this initiative, this hub initiative, we can strengthen the national platforms and also in that way secure the sustainability of the products, the things that come out of CLIMAAX. If we incorporate those outcomes in the national portals, they are sustained, they are made available. So I think that's a really crucial thing to work on over the next years, and what we indeed try to do here, and this was an excellent opportunity, thank you Climateurope2 for this. We sat together with countries in the Balkans, so with Croatia, Serbia, Slovenia, Greece, Romania, to establish, I think you called it not a community of practice, but what was some sort of ecosystem of innovation. I think we should call it an ecosystem of innovation where we bring together the countries and exchange our best practices. We've been working on the Dutch platform for over 15 years, so we've learned a lot. We've also failed, so we can share these experiences, we can share technologies and tools and accelerate the implementation of these national portals if we work together in the region. So that...
If I may just short, because I think it's important. I think the missions, both missions, the Net Zero Cities mission and the mission adaptation, had one crucial failure. Yeah. That's skipping over the national levels in most of the cases. And what happened is that, you know, it's good to work with cities and regions because that's where things happen. Yeah. But you cannot just bypass national levels. Then you have a huge gap when it comes to legislation, funding, and everything. So what the adaptation hubs and platforms should do is kind of make this error missing and you know, make it better, because national level has to be on board. Otherwise, you know, we will not reach the sustainability, because Europe is not financing everything, it's just piloting innovation and everything. So if you want to upscale, we need this national level. So let's correct what missions did a bit wrong and try to do it better on the local level.
No, it's interesting insight. I would have my opinion, but I don't want to precondition perhaps the discussion in the room. Later on, I could perhaps elaborate a little bit why communities and regions have been targeted in the first place. But there are plenty of opportunities for the national coordination, right? And this is very institutionalized in the European Union. The local communities and regions have little, power to express their voices. So that might be one reason. But Hasse, if I may, could you elaborate a little bit on the idea that you that you had this international ecosystem of innovation, or say how it might work, and do you have examples of similar initiatives and how they perform?
Actually, we had an initiative where we connected countries that have already a national portal in place.
Yeah.
And within the network, we helped each other, we reviewed each other's portals and also shared technologies. And for example, in our Dutch platform, we invested quite a lot of budget on, say, the ICT back end of our system. And in hindsight, I would have, if I had to do that over again, I would make everything open source and share it with all the countries in the network so we can all benefit. So by collaborating bilaterally, we can be more efficient, we can share each other's, we can share what works here and export it to other places. And so what we did here yesterday was formulate the ambition to sit together as Balkan countries and help each other and share knowledge and experiences. So that was a clear outcome of the conference for me.
And this is fantastic to hear because we are organizing in-person festivals or virtual festivals every 6 months, right? And this is exactly the purpose, right? To bring the people across the different sectors and from different places and start thinking about what they could do together in order to, advance together and better. Brilliant. Now, I have promised you that this will be a very interactive session, so I invite questions to our second part of the panel. A bench of 3, 1, 2, is there, give me 3, yeah, Suraj, excellent.
Hello, I come from the University of Belgrade, Faculty of Agriculture. I have a question for Theodora. I would like to say that these projects are very nice, but because you work in environmental protections, you mentioned in your presentations that wheat and maize productions are very vulnerable, and we already see a lot of problems that farmers have. So the situation in the field is very critical at present. So my question is, what are you currently and presently doing to help farmers to mitigate the yield reduction, for example, in maize or wheat productions, which are staple food sources? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will take 2 more questions.
Yeah, Roberto Mezzalam, I work in Italy. Well, I'm based in Italy, but I work internationally, and I'm coming from the private sector, and I work mostly for the private sector increasingly in adaptation to climate change. I wanted to, make an observation about the current state of affairs of this kind of tools. 69 projects under the adaptation mission. Most of them are developing tools, solutions, guidelines, ideas. Okay, it's impossible to navigate for a practitioner and for a user standpoint. I can tell you, it's absolutely impossible to navigate. So I think that there needs to be a sort of a stock-taking exercise at this point, okay, by you guys, but mostly by the European Union, to give more specific guidance and instructions in a more coordinated way. Because if I am if I start, in the past few years, we worked on about 50 plus climate risk assessments of large infrastructures, some strategic infrastructures in Europe. You don't know where to start from. you got 1 million guidelines. You have tens of potential indicators for each climate hazard. How are you gonna navigate this? It's a huge issue. So I would really encourage the European Union not to fund any similar project into the future. And I'm sorry for the beneficiaries of the projects, okay? And take maybe the next year to take stock of what has been produced and clarify what the heck people like me should do when they are approached by somebody that wants to do a climate risk assessment and an adaptation plan.
Thank you very much, Roberto. That's an interesting stimulus to this discussion. I think it will raise more discussion afterwards. Yeah, Suraj.
Hi, Suraj Desai, University of Leeds in the UK. Yeah, I mean, my comment might maybe not a million miles away from Ricardo's, actually. And I guess it's trying to contrast what Dana was talking about and then what Haas was talking about at the end there. So I'd love to hear a bit more about, what's the uptake of Jupyter notebooks and kind of having to do Python and so on in local government, given the technicality of some of this, and then the multiple permutations that you've just talked about, right? Lots of different hazards, temporal scales. I mean, there's a lot of complexity here. So it'd be great to hear, what have you learned, Dana, from CLIMAAX and from applying it, maybe in Serbia? So from the whole panel, and what is it that you'd like CLIMAAX 2 to do, right? I mean, what should be going forward? Because I know Haas has, worked on an atlas for the Netherlands. We had here the day the Serbian atlas. So there's obviously more user-friendly, for example, formats. It'd be good to get the panel's view on finding the right balance between, complexity and simplicity, which I guess eventually, hopefully, leads us to standardization and this project as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Suraj. This is I would like to give them the opportunity to reflect, and afterwards we take other. But if it's burning and if it's related, we can take the fourth question as well, right? Okay, so you will be on, just after the panel. I give you the floor. So this is interesting, right? And I invite you to think about those questions, right? The first question was actually to Theodora and partly to Dana, is about, right, you empowered me with your climate risk assessment tools. Now that you have evidence that there is the risk, what are you going to do? And this is the purpose, right, of empowering. So Theodora, what is your take on that?
I discussed this topic with Dana before we started this session. She has the same question, the similar question. What we will be doing with the data that we have, and why we are doing it, because we are the environmental protection and urban planning, but we are also the part of the provincial government, and the provincial government have a provincial secretariat for agriculture, forestry, and water management, and we are cooperating and doing things together, exchange the data, and they will be using these data in the future for future funding of the agriculture sector. So they need to know what is happening, what will be happening, so they can manage the funding for the next agriculture,
Payment scheme, common agriculture policy?
Yes. So that is today the main reason, because we are, like I said, the pioneers in this, and we saw this as an opportunity because nobody do it in Vojvodina, like in agriculture droughts and relative droughts, and we had the opportunity to join the CLIMAAX, and the Provincial Secretariat for Agriculture didn't. So we are cooperating this together with the Faculty of Agriculture also, and so we will see in the next year what will be the results.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Very good. I can only add to that, right? Once you have the risk information, you can also negotiate with the insurers, how to redesign or design a new insurance schemes, parametric schemes, which is easier to implement, or you can really negotiate certain conditions of the insurance, or you might build additional risk financing instrument in your region and so on. So this is all about. And the Rural Development Program has also one action dedicated to the agriculture risk management. So once you have understanding of the risk, you can do a lot, right? And the reason why it empowers. Now, the second question was this provocative question, do we not have enough, right? Why the hell do we need more, right? Which is only causing the complication. I need a specific guidance, which is, you know, step by step. This is what I say, let's do. No creativity, no innovation. This is just the line. So I would like to pose it to you, Milenko and Hazel, if you could reflect on that. So how do you see that?
I can. I do agree with you up to a certain level, but what we will try to do through this project is to kind of dissect what you've been mentioning. And I have it's not a suggestion, it's something that we are aiming for and working on, is that we, for example, in the city of Zagreb will not be having any more adaptation plans. That means that we will have development strategy of the city that will be climate proofed. And this is the way we see that is the best to see how actually we utilize data and which data do we need. Because we are constantly producing data, and you are right there, and there's a lot of and a vast amount of data, but they are somewhere there in the universe. You know, different stakeholders use it. And, you know, when we were discussing what is wrong, then we figured out is that, you know, there is a siloed approach towards usage of data as well. So our learning, that's only ours, I'm not gonna, you know, preach that for everybody, is that we do not do any climate adaptation strategies anymore. We are climate proofing the spatial planning, the budgetary planning, and basically the city strategy. That way we should, you know, in like a couple of years ensure that we are towards the resilience of the entire system. Otherwise, we will still be working in silos, you know, taking different data from different actors. And, you know, what gave us this kind of learning is that when we started to working on climate proofing, and we've seen that, you know, the data we've been using is coming from different sources, is coming from different, you know, origins and stuff like that. And we then realized what we need, from who can we get it, and how we should use that. And, you know, this is our learning again. I'm not saying that is should be mandatory throughout. And one more thing I'll mention is that I mentioned this platform we have, but what has also developed in Croatia is a platform for sustainable finance, which has been set up under the Ministry of Finance. And it's gathering basically people who are in need, cities and regions and everybody, with the people with the money. So investors, development banks, national bank, commercial banks, everybody. And the message we got from the people with the money is that we do not trust your projects. How they were developed. So now what we do through the platform, we are kind of a quality seal that what is brought to the financing world is basically, let's say, bulletproof and should be resilient. And we have now really made progress. So we have made this track of investors and everybody. They are on board and they're now, you know, working together. And now, you know, we need this data. They have that data. So this kind of a feedback loop is working. So it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. There's a lot of things in the system. I don't think that the Commission will solve that. I think it should be done and should be left on the local and regional level and combining with national level. So, but it's, I don't know, Hasse, whether you agree, but this is what we do.
Yeah, I also agree with your point. And like, I think 15 years ago, I was asked to do a risk assessment for a city. And it took me 2.5 years. So I had to find climate data at the Met Office, flood data at Deltares and Wageningen for soil information. And so 10 different organizations help pieces of the puzzle. So it took a long time to collect all the data and to bring it together. And that actually brought us to the idea to set up a national climate atlas to pull together all the information, make it easily accessible in formats where cities don't require to run Jupyter notebooks and other complicated stuff. So make it easily available. And actually now, all municipalities in our country, including the small ones, have completed climate risk assessments at very low cost. So organizing this at the national level is actually a very efficient way of spending government money. And it has also boosted the market for local consultants to do these kinds of services. Also self-employed, smaller consultants facilitating smaller cities. So I think it's a really good idea to bring this together and to make our lives easier.
Fantastic, very good, excellent. And then the last Suraj, the remark or question was more to Dana, right? And it was a little bit provocative, so why Python? So basically Suraj is asking, well, bringing us back to the point, right, like giving those that are hungry the food or teaching them how to produce the food, right? Or as Ford said it when, back 100 years when he invented the car, he said, right, innovation is tricky things. So if I ask the farmers what they need, they would have told me faster horses, right? So Dana, why Python? Why Python?
Yes, we do have, for each region, we do have this interesting construction that the main applicant is a municipality or a regional governmental organization, such the one that where Theodora is working. They are the main applicant, the governmental organization. However, they often subcontract or involved another technical partner that are helping them with the technical work. But they are the ones that are responsible for the project, and that's also, they are submitting the deliverables, they are in contact with us, so that also ensures a good level of ownership of the results. So then they are not, so then they can bypass the technicalities, but they are learning along on the approach and what type of difficulties the technical people encounter, and they make the connections with stakeholders and with the usability of the results, because that is really, really important. So that's how we manage this, this Python fear.
And there are many more reasons, like reproducibility, right? Running the code, you obtain the same result, and the transparency of the codification, how the knowledge has been produced, and a number of other things. But I have the lady over there, yeah.
Thank you. I'm Margarita Ruiz Ramos from the European Commission, the GRTD. And in our unit, we are responsible for following the mission adaptation together with DG Clim as well. So I would like to comment on your questions, and also related to something that was previously mentioned about the legacy, and also about a question that someone formulated yesterday about the proliferation of platforms for the users and how this can be very confusing. So I would like to say that while I think it's true that national platforms are super useful, and also member states, different languages and so on, I don't think it's a question of choosing between them or, for instance, Climate Adapt. I think that putting all the knowledge in Climate Adapt is very necessary also in the mission implementation platform and the community of practice that actually connects all the mission projects, because these projects are not isolated. There is a huge community connecting all of them, and this information should be accessible from there as well. So it's not about choosing, but about having different channels from which each different user under different circumstances can access, so everyone can find their way to access to the same and consistent information. So it's very important that everyone finds the same and not confusing, not contradictory information. So the same information should be uploaded or made accessible and for different actors. And about and this is important for the legacy, I think. Yeah. And also about your question that I think is somehow related. The EUCRA exercise 2024 European climate risk assessment, as I mentioned yesterday, is meant to be now a periodic exercise. That means that it's taking stock of the risk and how they are evolving, and now it's incorporating more and more the responses. So there is an ongoing exercise. The European Climate Adaptation Plan foreseen for next year. The call for evidence was closed at the start of this month. That's also taking stock of the evidence that we already are retrieving precisely from this kind of experiences as from the regions. So there was a very good opportunity to send the feedback. But now, or in a few days, I don't know the exact date, the open consultation is going to be, the public consultation is going to be open for the end of until few months, I think. So it's a very good opportunity as well to provide feedback, and I encourage people in regions, for instance, this need to involve national level. This is a good opportunity to say so. So if the missions are useful or not, I think that through this via or through the regional and national responsible people that can pass the message to the representative in the European institutions, it's important that this message is conveyed. And well, thank you.
Thank you very much, Margherita. It was well said, and really to the point, exactly the kind of messages. The European climate risk assessment really needs to build upon the knowledge from the regions, right? To identify what are the cascading risk and implication and so on. And there are certain things that we, in regional and local assessment, we need to take from the continental scale, right? The reason for concerns and so on. So very well spotted also the connection. Thank you very much. So we have now 4 minutes, and I have promised some of you to stop on time. So I would love to take more questions from the audience, but apparently we don't have time. I would like to give our panelists something like less than 1 minute, something like key message, or you know, your take-home message from this, or your recommendation to the audience, inspired by this discussion that we had. One short message, and in any order, right? Who would like to be first, right? Who is ready?
I will be the first because I have to go.
Yeah.
Okay. My expectation for the platform, if I have to say, is to be able to capture the complexity of society that we have managed in Adaptation Agora. We work a lot with the vulnerable people, and my challenge, my expectation is that the platform is able to involve also this part of community, because from my point of view, this is something still missing.
Thank you very much. Next, thank you, Paola. Thank you. I know that you need to leave, so brilliant job. Thank you. Yeah, Hassan?
Yeah, I also have to leave, and I'm going to use these final words to do some advertising for the Clear Climate project. With Biljana in the room here, we're doing really nice work on communication and using eye tracking to improve our services and also make language more accessible and easy to understand. So visit the Clear Climate website, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Yeah. Who is next?
I don't have to leave.
Yeah. Dana, would you like to be the next, or Theodora?
Well, I will like to say thank you for the organization of this 3 days festival. It is a rare opportunity to gather this much experts in this field about climate change in Serbia. I didn't think that this is possible, and to this beautiful hotel in Belgrade, and I think that this is very high level, and I hope that it will be next time, every year. Yes.
This is an inspiration. So thank you very much, Theodora. We would love to see that, and would love to participate in those. Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
What I think is that all the ingredients are there to make everything happen, and I think honestly that this region has enormous potential to be a front runner even in the European level. So if we cooperate as we can be front runners here. Yeah.
Brilliant. This is inspirational. Dana.
Thank you. Yes, I started my career 12 years ago, and I think things are evolving really fast in climate science. So I think it's important to be optimists, and things are really slowly evolving, but they are evolving in the good direction. And yeah, I think it's good to keep on the good work.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you to our distinguished panelists, and thank you to you who have participated in this discussion. Listen to this. I hope it was interesting for you. You take some take-home messages, and I close this session right on time, and you are welcome to join us for the coffee break. Thank you very much.